if we look at actually economic statistics comparing that time and this time, it's really quite interesting. In 1972, China was around, I think, 2.5% of the global economy. The Soviet Union was around 8% of the global economy. And you find, if you look at 2010, that that is basically flipped. Russia's about 2–3% of the global economy now. China's about 7–8%. And it led, as Clay mentioned, to this, and Jeff also mentioned, this very rapid growth in energy consumption, which has really fueled, of course, China's massive economic growth. And it has, of course, also led to the very considerable growth in China's greenhouse gas emissions, which, in addition to its energy consumption, also now exceeds the United States. And this has some very profound implications as we move forward and think about dealing with the problem of climate change. The first of these implications, and it's come up a little bit before, is, and Clay, actually, you mentioned the riots, is the degree to which the Chinese government is very sensitive to domestic unrest, eager to maintain economic growth, and really to avoid doing anything that could contribute to instability. This puts a very great pressure on the Chinese government to avoid accepting any internationally binding limits on its greenhouse gas emissions that could result in slower economic growth, fewer jobs, potentially more unrest. If you think about, well, how do you reduce emissions without slowing economic growth, really the only way to try to do anything like that is to very, very substantially increase China's energy efficiency. But how would you go about that? That's an enormously expensive undertaking. And to reduce China's energy, or to increase China's energy efficiency and reduce its emissions on the scale that would be required really to stop and reverse climate change in a reasonable time frame, you're talking about a Marshall Plan scale of international investment in China. Which I think, if we look at just the domestic politics of the United States, not talking about anywhere else, seems like something that's really extremely unlikely, in my view, to happen. So as we're moving forward, we have this situation where it's really difficult to envision China's energy consumption or China accepting limits on its greenhouse gas emissions. It's difficult to envision really steep increases in energy efficiency. And what we get as you project this out forward is a China that already has greenhouse gas emissions larger than the United States and are growing at a significantly faster rate. So that if you imagine, let's say the United States by 2030 becomes a zero-emission economy, which I don't think anybody really realistically thinks we could do, but let's imagine that we do that. It's very likely that China will make up for, or possibly more than make up for, the departure of all American emissions from the atmosphere. So a very difficult problem to try to address, and I think an interesting, perhaps unintended consequence of 1972. Thank you.